World leaders gathered in Turkey for the annual G20 summit, with the fight against terror high on the agenda. Hand in hand with that went the battle against Islamic State, otherwise known as ISIL. The extremist group claimed responsibility for attacks in Paris on Friday night, which claimed some 120 lives. From US President Barack Obama, a defiant statement.
As was true with the terrible attacks that took place in Ankara, the killing of innocent people based on a twisted ideology is an attack not just on France, not just on Turkey, but it's an attack on the civilized world.
Attempts by a US-led coalition to eliminate ISIL have been made largely in Syria. The Middle Eastern nation has been in a state of war for some 4 years. ISIL, as well as other more moderate forces, have been trying to overthrow the regime of President Bashar al-Assad. But support for Assad in recent months has come in the form of a bombing campaign by Russia. The Kremlin says it has been targeting Islamic State and has not been seeking to prop up the regime of its ally, the Syrian president. But the airstrikes have heightened tensions with the US, which has stated clearly that it sees no role for Assad in Syria's future.
Asking the opposition to trust Assad or to accept Assad's leadership is simply not a reasonable request. And it is literally, therefore, a non-starter. And even if we wanted to, my friends, even if you made the worst deal with the devil, as one says, and said, well, that's what you have to do to try to make this process go forward, I got news for you. It will not stop.
Against the backdrop of those disagreements, the White House said ahead of the G20 that Obama had no plans to meet his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. But on the sidelines of the summit in Antalya, the two did sit down for talks. Analysts have suggested that Moscow may be trying to improve its standing in the international community by taking advantage of the world's renewed focus on fighting ISIL. Russia has been increasingly isolated from the West since it annexed Ukrainian territory in 2014 and began backing militants in Ukraine's eastern regions. We do understand well that winning against the terror threat and helping millions of those who lost their homes is only possible by uniting the efforts of the whole international community. And concerning the terror threat, we all have seen the nightmare that happened just recently in Paris. We sympathize with people who were hurt, but we remain steadfast behind uniting efforts to fight the terror threat effectively. Calls for the West to work more closely with Russia have of late been growing. In the wake of the Islamic State's terror attacks in Paris, those calls may now be increasingly difficult to resist.